Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to get into something I know you've been waiting for me to talk more about, and that is feminine communication. All right. Like you may notice that some women just have a way, right? They command attention, they seem to carry themselves with grace, with confidence. They're influential, right? And it's about more than just charisma or having a bright personality. The key is learning how to communicate in a way where you are able to deeply connect with others. And you know that saying, people will forget what you do for them, all your accolades, all of those things, but what they will remember is how you made them feel. So let's dig into the art of feminine communication and how to more deeply connect with others. And through that, you will get to be able to have that influence and really be able to make your imprint on the world and on other people. Okay, so what is feminine communication? It's really using your skills, your feminine energy skills, to be able to make a connection, an authentic connection. Okay, we're not talking about being manipulative and being fake, right? We're talking about making an authentic connection that really helps people to feel like you get them, you understand them. And that is, if you read any book on social psychology, on relationships, even the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, even business books, they teach you this in business school and with networking, right? It's just that as women, we have that unique feminine energy power. So I want you to be able to tap into it. But one of the keys is really helping people to feel like you genuinely care, that you're present, right? So we're going to talk about active listening, empathy, understanding. And my three rules that I always teach women are about time, space, and tone. So I'm going to get to that in a minute, right? But these three things, the active listening, the empathy, and the understanding, which is understanding of yourself as well as your others, are really, really important, right? So, active listening, why is that key? How does that build connection? And what exactly does that have to do with feminine communication? Well, when you are actively listening to someone, you are present and they feel that. They feel the eye contact. They feel your facial expressions. They observe the body language. And one of the best ways that we have to be able to tell if someone is safe or not for us is whether or not they're paying attention. We can feel, when people say you feel the vibes, you feel the energy, you can tell when a person is not really present with you. And what that does is without words having to be spoken, that makes you feel unsafe. Whereas when a person is present with you, it makes you feel safe. It has to do with our nervous system, something called the polyvagal nerve, and this innate ability or need that we have as humans to be able to determine a safe person, a safe place, a safe environment based on our connection, right? So that's kind of the science behind it. But really, what it is like we all crave to be seen and heard and to feel on a deep level like we matter. And so when you actively listen, that means you're making eye contact, using gestures and body language. You're listening, you're interjecting, you're saying something at the right time. You're not just going in and talking about yourself. You're trying to see where the conversation goes. And as I always say, you're able to have that dance. So with active listening, you are showing that you are really in the present. You are really what it says. You are active in your listening. You're not just pretending to hear. You're not absent-minded. You're not like, oh, what? Okay, right? Like you are showing that you feel that that person is important enough for you to pay attention to them. And when you are actively listening, you reflect back. You put in phrases, you put in words that show that you get it. Or you ask questions like, oh, you said that. Could you say a little bit more about that? Or I don't quite get it. I would love to hear more, right? You're showing that you really want to get the person. And that is one of the ways that's used in sales, it's used in everything. But within relationships, it's key because it helps your partner to feel. It's one of those actions that helps them to feel that you are connected, that you care, and that they matter to you, right? And in all relationships, when you help a person to know that you're taking the time to listen, then they really will start to feel more at ease with you. And that is part of the influence, the feminine energy influence. Okay. The second thing is empathy. We all know that empathy is different than sympathy. Empathy is saying, I can really put myself in your shoes. I can really try to imagine, and I care enough to imagine what that might be like. What are the what your pain is like. Empathy is really good when someone is going through a difficult time. And what that says is like, I don't want you to be alone. I don't want you to feel alone. While I may not be able to carry your burdens, I can certainly try to think and imagine and really try to feel how difficult this is for you. And that's going to help you to not feel so isolated. And again, to feel cared for, to feel like you allows you to be able to share compassion and support, encouragement. And again, those things are what helps people to feel, it helps us to feel more connected. So imagine if you share that with another person, they will feel very connected to you. And these things can happen in very small ways, right? It's that simple, those simple acts when they say like small acts of kindness, those are ways of sharing empathy, encouragement, support, even with strangers. And it doesn't have to be something that drains you and takes everything out of you, right? Because I'm always talking about those boundaries, how we don't want to get into a space where we're over giving from an empty cup and we feel depleted and drained. And then as a result, we get resentful. We start getting mad and angry. We get hardened inside. And all of those are things that drain not only your feminine energy, they also drain your ability to really connect with others, right? So that empathy allows you to have compassion. It allows you to give encouragement and support. And those are really, really important, right? The third thing when it comes to your feminine energy, so we said the ability to be actively listening, the empathy, and then the understanding of yourself and others, right? So what that allows you to do is to be assertive when need be. It allows you basically to read the room, right? We've all been hearing this, how important it is to read the room, read the cues. You're understanding other people where they are. You're tuning in and you're understanding where you are. So there may be times when it's required for you to be assertive and to take a more of a forward stance. That is totally within the feminine communication because it means that you're tuned in to what's going on. And the more you assert yourself when it's important, when it's necessary, the more you gain respect. You gain the respect of your peers, the people around you, the people that you are trying to influence. So please, please, please do not think that feminine energy is about being meek, being walked all over. Feminine communication is just talking a certain way. No, it's really about emotional intelligence, understanding where others are, reading the room, being able to speak up, being able to communicate what you need. But here's the key: assertiveness is not aggressiveness. Assertiveness does not mean you are in a place of aggressing against others, being hard, being harsh, right? Assertiveness can mean, and boundaries can mean at times, you need to take a firm tone. Your gestures, your body language may need to communicate this is a line, this is a limit. Okay, don't cross here. But again, that is not about being aggressive. Being aggressive is when we are triggered. We're in a triggered state and we're reacting. Okay, so that understanding is about reading the room, understanding yourself, understanding others, knowing when You really need to step up your assertiveness and feeling empowered to do so, not feeling that it's something bad or wrong, because feminine communication is not about being a doormat. It's the exact opposite. Okay. So those three things are key. And these are my three added bonuses that I always like to share. Women, women, women. Ladies, in your relationship, it is so important to be mindful of timing, space, and tone. Timing is, when is the best time to say something? When you're in an intimate relationship, timing is key. You might be around someone all the time, and you might feel like this is the time for me to just blurt out whatever I'm going to say. That's part of my authentic self. Well, not so fast, right? The key is, you want to say something at a time when they're going to receive it. And this takes place in everywhere, whether it's business and medicine, right? People think about when will what I have to say, especially if it's important, especially if it's difficult, right? If we need to have a difficult conversation, when is the best time? So looking at your timing, it's not always immediately, because sometimes when we say things immediately, we haven't had time to pause and reflect. We are in reaction mode and we're not in reflective or response mode, right? So the timing is key. When should I say this, right? Space. Sometimes it's related to timing, but you have to be able to determine how much space your partner needs. If you all, again, especially if it's around conflict or difficult conversation, how much space do they need you? Is it best for you to lean in and say, hey, I know what I just said might have hit a certain way. We really need to talk about this. I don't want to sweep this under the rug, right? Or do you need to pull back a little bit and give some space? Like if you notice that the person you're talking to they're getting triggered, right? That might be a time to give some space. So space is it's not so much about having a lot of distance, it's about knowing the right space. Do you need to lean in because this is something important and this is the timing to hone in on your point, or do you need to pull back, let the other person calm down, make sure you say we will table that, let's come back together and talk about it at a different time, right? So space is really important. And that goes back to that understanding part that I talked about earlier, because that's when you're able to read the room and know if this is the space for you to lean in or pull back a little bit. Okay. So there's timing, there's space, tone. I saved the best for last. Your tone is key. If you want to know how your tone is coming off, ask a little kid, because they have that built in before they have filters. They will be able to know whether your tone is matching what you're saying. Are you sitting there with a smile, pretending to be happy, but your tone is sharp and biting? Are you trying to say something with importance, but your tone is silly and not serious, right? Your tone is key. And for men tend to get really triggered by a tone of voice that they perceive as disrespectful, belittling, demeaning. So tone says a lot. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Let's say it again. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And how you say something can either soften it and make it easier to digest. It can be like a buffer, or it can harden it and it can make your whole message get basically lost in the sauce, right? So you have to understand tone. When are you going to have a softer tone? When are you going to use a quieter tone? When are you going to slow down? When are you going to raise your tone? When is it important to put bass in your tone, right? There's all kinds of tones, and they are part of communicating. It's not just the words, but it's how you say it that is really going to that's the real communication. Because if people had to choose between listening to your words and listening to your tone to see what you really mean, all the time, they're going to go with your tone without even knowing it, right? That's a built-in human thing. People are going to go with your tone more than your words, even if without even trying. So if you're going to work on anything, don't worry about the perfect words. Worry about checking in with yourself and having the tone that is there for you, that conveys what you're trying to communicate. All right. Now, I always tell the ladies that I work with in my coaching program, my inner circle, the Boundaries to Bliss Society, that one of the ways that it's important to tune in with how you're feeling, especially in your relationship. Because if you're feeling like you don't respect your partner, you don't respect the person you're in a relationship with, that's going to come out without you even knowing it in your tone. So you might have all the sweet, cute words, but if you don't truly respect that person, or if you have some unexpressed anger towards that person, or if you have some resentment, it's going to come out in your tone. And your tone is going to be belittling. It's going to be kind of like, oh, okay, sweetie. But people, there's a difference. There's like, okay, sweetie, and there's okay, sweetie, right? Those tones, it can have contempt and disrespect, or it can have welcoming and like, I want to connect with you. So I'm going to call you a name that's endearing to me. Okay. So time, space, and tone. And to wrap it all up, feminine communication is really about connection. And in order to have that connection with others, you have to be connected to yourself. You have to learn to be at ease and in tune with yourself so that you can be an active listener, so that you can have empathy and compassion, so that you can understand and read the room, and that you can be aware of your time, the timing of what you want to say, the space, giving enough space or knowing how much space to give, and your tone. Okay. I hope that if this was valuable to you, I forgot to tell you that in the beginning. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video. And if you haven't already, I don't know what you're waiting for, you need to subscribe to the channel. I'm Dr. Nicole, and I will see you as the next video as we continue to talk about boundaries, femininity, feminine energy, and healthy relationships. Take care.